The 1st of February was a litigational sort of day. A Spanish publisher who publishes in Spanish and in Catalan has an agreement to republish a book. What they didn't do was make the agreement with me, with Handheld Press, to use our notes. And so their translators have used my notes that I spent a lot of time working on, and all my experience and scholarship behind me have contributed to. They've reused about 50% of my notes without permission, without acknowledgement, without even a fee. So I sent the publisher concerned this email saying, this is what you've done. I think I have a case here for some kind of compensation, and I suggest you pay me X amount of euros. And it's now 2 weeks later and nothing has happened. So I've now written to the Publishers Licensing Society, which oversees the rights of publishers in the UK for the license agreements for their work, to see if they can pursue this and get some kind of sense out of the Spanish publishers. An answer would be really nice. I sent a free EPUB to another author as a style guide. So when I get people to write essays and introductions for our books, they always say, what's a style guide? What's a style guide? Which is the way that Handheld requires them to use commas, other kinds of punctuation, how they want the references styled, and also what kind of level of English do you want? Do you want high level, highfalutin academic, or do you want basic? And we're sort of in the middle. I published the Strange Relics page. This is quite exciting. So when we get a new book, the first thing we do is get the cover sorted out. This is why I bang on about covers a lot. And as soon as the cover is decided, my instant response is, I want to send that out. It's got to go out. I must tell the world. I must tweet it. I must put it on Facebook. And I have to be reined in, because it's not always a good idea to dump all your wonderful new ideas at one time. It's good to feed them out slowly, drip, drip, drip. So I've been waiting for 3 months to release the Strange Relics cover when we have the pre-order page open. But now on the 3rd of February, I released it to the world, and flurry of orders, which is always nice. I was editing Broster. Broster is our August 2022 title. This took quite a long time. I started editing Broster about the 4th of February, and I didn't send it to Nadja for a good 8-9 days later. That's a long time. I was also writing the notes. And when I write the notes at the end of the books, I have in mind a student in the Midwest, someone who has no idea of the cultural background of many of the books that we produce. So things that I might find basic probably have to be explained to them, mainly to do with the British class system, archaic spellings, archaic words. Sometimes it's just basically factual. This is a reference to a politician or a queen or a king or a general, just stuff to make it easier. They don't have to go surging off to their own encyclopedia. And then I also think, as well as a student from the Midwest of the USA, I also think my mum, what would my mum not understand about this particular text? Because my mother we share a lot in common in our reading taste, but the kind of books we produce are always delightful new discoveries for her. So I have to think, well, what would a woman who's a generation or two older than me, from a different background, different educational background, what would they need to understand, and what would they want to have explained? So with those two ideal imaginary readers in my head, that's how I work out what notes need to be written and what I don't need to bother with. This was lovely. Jane's Country Year. This came out in January. We advertised it in various places, and one of them was the London Review of Books, which is a fairly high-level literary magazine. Jane's Country Year is not a book they would ever review, and that's absolutely fine. But I do know that quite a lot of my customers see our adverts in the LRB and think, I must buy that book. One reader is an 80-something lady who was the original model for the Jane of Jane's Country Year, because the artist used her as an artist model when he was doing the artwork. None of us had any idea that there had been an original Jane. I mean, the artist's family, they know, because they have his scrapbooks with the notes and so on. But the rest of the community who liked this novel had no idea. So this very pleasant person emailed me saying, here I am the model. Would anyone like to talk to me about what it was like being a 7-year-old model for a children's book? So instantly I asked for permission, and then forwarded her email to the Malcolm Saville Society. And I understand that they'll be doing an article, which would be great. And this is what's really nice, when you get people getting in touch and suddenly a connection is made and we can distribute the connections and the information around. That is just so nice. Then I had the famous sales conference to Ingram, and I get such positive feedback. And it's so nice because this is the only time I really get to test the books that we want to publish against what the trade are likely to be interested in. And every time the sales reps go, this is amazing, that cover's great, I've started reading the advance information and it's so interesting and I need to get back to this one because the books are good. It's just lovely. It really makes me feel confident. And I don't know how I managed without this before we had this agreement with Ingram, before our contract with them. What's also useful is that they will give me feedback on cover designs that aren't finished. And they will suggest that we move words around, that we try a strap line at the bottom of the cover to make it clearer what this is about. Is it a novel? Is it a book? Let's have a snappy line here. And that's really, really helpful. That kind of feedback, that interaction, that's about the only exposure I get to the trade. I don't get to go and see bookshops very often. But the big thing that happened most recently was the Vondel Prize. The Vondel Prize is a translation prize for literature, Dutch literature translated into English. It's administered by the Society of Authors, and Adrift in the Middle Kingdom, which is a Dutch novel that we published in translation in 2019, was on the shortlist. We knew that last September or so. So we've been waiting and waiting for the announcement of the Vondel Prize. So I watched the ceremony, which was on Zoom. And I was there watching as a publisher, but our translator, David Mackay, who lives in The Hague, he was also there. It was really well put together. We got a little discussion by the head of the judges for each particular prize. There's about 8 prizes. The Dutch one was about 5th along. And then they went through the shortlist, and then they said, and the runner-up was, and then you got a cut to the runner-up translator going, oh, I'm so pleased to be runner-up. I'm really grateful. Thank you. It was such a joy to translate this book. And then you got the announcement of the winner, and then you get the winner doing the same. So I thought, okay, pre-recorded videos, that's interesting. David, our translator, he hasn't mentioned anything to me, but he's very good at keeping quiet when he's been required to, and probably he's been told to keep very quiet, so nobody will know. So I waited. Spanish, French, Arabic, first translation prize. Oh, come on, finally, here's the Dutch one. Palms of hands, very sweaty. Shortlist, shortlist. Shortlist. There are 6 on the shortlist. 3 have been announced. Oh, I think we're in with a chance. 4th one, and then finally we're the runner-up. So excited. So I was so pleased. I tweeted it like mad, and it was great. I don't know if David actually gets a prize. If he'd won, which he didn't, he would have got a large amount of money. But it's terrific for him because he's won it before. He is one of the top Dutch translators from English working in the world today. And this prize proves it. So that was a pretty good start to February. Well, this is a catch up. This is the end of February. And the first thing is that we are publishing a book next month, Latchkey Ladies. And we have a book launch, which is going to be at the Guildhall Library in London. It will be in person, the first in-person book launch I have done since the before times. And I'm really very excited about it. And I'll be joined by Sarah Lefanu, who wrote the introduction to Latchkey Ladies, and she also discovered it, so she is very knowledgeable about this book. And if you want to come to the talk, you can order your tickets, look at our website, and you go to the book launches and events, and there's a link there to the free Eventbrite registration page, and you just order your ticket. But it doesn't matter if you can't be in London at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Tuesday the 15th of March, because it will be live to streamed people. So you can watch it remotely from Utah, from Australia, from the middle of Zimbabwe, wherever you are. And the next day, Sarah and I do a repeat performance with a slightly different conversation, still about Latchkey Ladies, for the Westminster libraries. This will be completely online. And again, you can book your free ticket by going to our events page. So that's really exciting. And it's such a great book. Amy, who works for us, finished reading it last night, and she went, oh, the ending. And so we had 5 minutes going, but did you this and did you that, and chat. There was so much to talk about once you read the book. It's marvelous. And finally, today well, yesterday really, the Times Literary Supplement published a review article about Sylvia Townsend Warner, who we have published 2 books by already, and about Valentine Ackland, Frances Bingham's biography. We published it last May, and finally the Times Literary Supplement get around to publishing it, the review, and I'm just so pleased, because to get a review in the Times Literary Supplement, it doesn't often happen for our books, but when it does, I am just delighted, because it's the best place for the kind of books that we publish.
Want to see more from us? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to click like, subscribe, or new content alert.